Welcome to Podcast Summaries, where every week we break down powerful ideas from 8 to 10 top podcasts to help you grow, heal, and thrive while saving time. If you find this summary helpful, please subscribe and check out links for more content. Your support keeps this journey going. Here is a summarized version of health effects, risks of kratom opioids, other natural occurring medicines, Dr. Chris McCurdy, featuring Dr. Chris McCurdy, by Andrew Huberman. Andrew Huberman asks Dr. Chris McCurdy to explain what kratom is, where it's found in nature, and its properties that people take it for. Dr. McCurdy describes kratom as a tree called Metrogonys speciosa, native to Southeast Asia, where it's traditionally used by outdoor laborers to increase energy and stamina. They chew the leaves or make a tea from them, which also has pain-relieving and mood-elevating properties. Dr. McCurdy notes that kratom has been used to help people transition off traditional opioid drugs, but also has potential harms, especially for young people and those without prior opioid addiction. Dr. McCurdy explains that the traditional use of kratom is different from the products available in the U.S., which are often dried leaf material, ground into capsules or powder, and may be mixed with other ingredients. He notes that the body has to work hard to extract the active ingredients from the leaf material, whereas concentrates and extracts have already pulled out these compounds, making them more easily absorbed by the body. Dr. McCurdy warns that this can lead to problematic use, especially with highly concentrated products. Andrew Huberman asks Dr. McCurdy to compare the concentration of kratom in a popular product, a small blue bottle, to the traditional use in Malaysia. Dr. McCurdy explains that the product is more similar to a traditional exposure, but notes that the serving size is often not clear, and people may consume multiple servings at once, leading to a much greater exposure to the active compounds. Dr. McCurdy emphasizes that this is a common pattern, similar to nicotine pouches, where people start with a small amount and gradually increase their consumption. Andrew Huberman's question about the effects of kratom on the body sparks a thoughtful response from Dr. Chris McCurdy. He explains that kratom contains multiple compounds, including at least 20 to 40 alkaloids, which are organic molecules with a nitrogen structure. This nitrogen element allows the molecule to interact with proteins in the body, acting as a base that can accept a proton and develop a charge. This charge enables the molecule to bind with proteins, influencing various bodily functions. Dr. McCurdy uses the analogy of a tractor beam to describe how the nitrogen and alkaloids attracts and binds to each other, much like magnets attract each other. He emphasizes that this interaction is crucial for life, as amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, also contain nitrogen and acid parts, allowing them to have positive and negative charges. The conversation takes a fascinating turn as Dr. McCurdy explains how plant materials, including alkaloids, have helped define our chemical neurotransmitter systems. He cites nicotine as an example, which binds to nicotinic acetylcholinergic receptors, a system that was defined by the plant's alkaloid. This highlights the long history of humans experimenting with plants to understand their effects on the body, a process that continues today in a more scientific and controlled manner. Dr. McCurdy's insights offer a nuanced understanding of how kratom and other plant-based substances interact with the body, emphasizing the importance of considering the complex chemistry involved. As the conversation continues, it becomes clear that kratom is not a single entity, but rather a complex substance with multiple compounds and effects, requiring a thoughtful and multifaceted approach to understanding its impact on human health. Andrew Huberman wonders if scientists are still learning from nature, just like animals do. Dr. Chris McCurdy agrees, pointing out that many medicines have been discovered by observing animals and their use of plants. He notes that animals have a keen sense of smell, which helps them detect compounds in plants that can be beneficial or harmful. Dr. McCurdy shares a story about his mentor, who would taste the compounds he created to check their quality. Andrew Huberman is amazed by this story, recalling a similar experience with a neuroanatomist who would taste brain tissue to determine its concentration. Dr. McCurdy explains that the traditional use of plants like kratom involves a process of harvesting, brewing, and smelling, which provides more information about the concentration and effects of the plant. He notes that this process is often lost in modern medicine, where people may take a pill without understanding its origins or effect. Andrew Huberman agrees, pointing out that the highly processed food industry has created products that are designed to be addictive, leading to overconsumption and negative health effects. Dr. McCurdy highlights the importance of understanding the origins of medicines, citing examples like aspirin, which comes from the bark of the willow tree. He notes that many prescription medications were discovered through the study of natural products, but people often forget about the natural origins of these medicines. Andrew Huberman suggests that there needs to be a slow medicine movement that emphasizes a more nuanced understanding of medicinals in their natural form. Dr. McCurdy agrees, pointing out that natural products have evolved over time to have a balance of effect. He notes that the opium poppy, for example, has been used for centuries, but the isolation of morphine led to the poppy being seen as less important. Similarly, the coca leaf has been used for thousands of years, but the isolation of cocaine led to the leaf being criminalized. Dr. McCurdy's lab is now studying the coca leaf, which has potential medical benefits and is a nutritious plant. Dr. McCurdy warns that the manipulation of natural products can lead to potent and dangerous substances. He notes that kratom-derived products are now being sold, which can be very potent and addictive. He emphasizes that kratom is not benign and can be dangerous, especially when manipulated into potent opioids. Dr. McCurdy's lab is working to understand the differences between the alkaloids in kratom, which can have different effects on the body. Andrew Huberman is exploring the health effects and risks of kratom, opioids, and other natural occurring medicines with Dr. Chris McCurdy. They're discussing the differences between kratom-derived products, isolates, and synthetically derived products, which can have varying levels of opioid activity. Dr. McCurdy emphasizes that not all kratom is the same, and it's essential to differentiate between leaf kratom and kratom-derived products or isolates. Dr. McCurdy agrees that people taking kratom products may not be aware that they're not taking the leaf-type product, even if they're drinking it. He stresses that the medical community needs to understand this distinction, especially when dealing with patients who may have taken kratom products. Andrew Huberman asks about the safety of kratom for kids and teenagers. Dr. McCurdy responds that he's not familiar with anyone young using kratom in Southeast Asia, where it's traditionally used. He notes that most regulations drafted in some states limit the age of kratom use, but there's no clear understanding of the impact of kratom on developing brains. Dr. McCurdy advises that young people should avoid kratom due to the potential risks, including the development of tolerance and the lack of executive control in the prefrontal cortex. He also mentions that kratom can slow brain development and lower IQs if used at a younger age. Andrew Huberman asks about the safety of kratom for adults seeking a caffeine-like effect. He notes that kratom leaf products may be safer, but kratom-derived products or isolates can be more potent and potentially problematic. Dr. McCurdy discusses the risks of respiratory depression associated with kratom-derived products or isolates, particularly the 7-hydroxymitragynine metabolite. He mentions that their research paper on this topic is forthcoming and highlights the importance of public safety. Andrew Huberman takes a break to acknowledge one of the podcast sponsors, Function, which provides comprehensive lab testing and insights into bodily health. When the conversation resumes, Andrew Huberman asks Dr. McCurdy about the potential for kratom to cause respiratory suppression. He notes that their research paper will provide more information on this topic. Andrew Huberman asks Dr. McCurdy about the FDA's approach to regulating kratom. Dr. McCurdy explains that the FDA considers a metabolite of a dietary ingredient to be a dietary ingredient, which creates a loophole for kratom-derived products or isolates to be sold as dietary supplements. Dr. McCurdy discusses the goals of advocacy groups, such as the American Kratom Association and the Global Kratom Coalition, which are pushing for science-based information and regulation of the kratom industry. He notes that some groups are advocating for the use of kratom as an alternative to opioid abuse. Dr. Chris McCurdy wonders if kratom products, when combined with alcohol, increase the risk of respiratory failure, similar to opioids. Andrew Huberman explains that there's no concrete evidence to support this claim, but notes that kratom has been reported to reduce alcohol consumption. In fact, some studies have explored kratom's potential as a harm reduction agent for alcohol use disorder. However, more research is needed to fully understand the interactions between kratom and alcohol. Dr. Chris McCurdy is fascinated by kratom's unique properties, which seem to make it an effective pain reliever, stimulant, and possibly even an aphrodisiac. Andrew Huberman explains that kratom's effects are likely due to its complex interaction with multiple neurotransmitter systems, including opioid, serotonin, and adrenergic receptors. This tripartite effect is unusual in the world of pharmacology, where most drugs target a single receptor or pathway. Dr. Chris McCurdy notes that reductionist science often focuses on isolating specific receptors and pathways, but this approach can overlook the complex interactions between different systems. Andrew Huberman agrees, pointing out that kratom's unique effects may be due to its ability to engage multiple pathways simultaneously. This approach is often referred to as polypharmacology. Andrew Huberman explains that kratom's alkaloids, particularly mitragynine, have been found to interact with opioid receptors, but with much weaker affinity than traditional opioids. However, kratom's other alkaloids, such as those that interact with the serotonergic system, may play a more significant role in its pain-relieving effect. Dr. Chris McCurdy wonders if kratom's antifungal properties, which are thought to be an adaptation to its swampy environment, could also be beneficial for humans. Andrew Huberman notes that while kratom's antifungal properties are promising, more research is needed to fully understand their potential applications. The conversation turns to the topic of kratom's different strains, such as white vein, red vein, and brown vein. Andrew Huberman explains that these differences are largely due to marketing and the way the leaves are cured or dried after harvesting. While some users swear by the different effects of these strains, the actual differences in alkaloid content are relatively small. Dr. Chris McCurdy notes that this is similar to the debate around indica and sativa strains of cannabis, where the effects may be influenced by factors such as terpenes and the chain of custody from plant to product. Andrew Huberman emphasizes that plants produce a wide range of chemical compounds, including alkaloids, terpenes, steroids, and tannins. However, most research on kratom has focused on its alkaloids, leaving many other potential compounds unexplored. Dr. Chris McCurdy notes that this is also true of cannabis, where much of the research has focused on THC and CBD, while other compounds remain understudied. Dr. Chris McCurdy delves into the complexities of kratom, highlighting that most studies have focused on the major alkaloid, mitragynine, due to its ease of isolation and purification. However, this approach may overlook the potential effects of other alkaloids present in kratom. He notes that the pharmacology of kratom is complex and multifaceted, involving not just opioid-like activity but also serotonergic and adrenergic effects. Andrew Huberman emphasizes the need for more research on kratom, particularly in the area of its potential use as an antidepressant. He acknowledges that anecdotal reports of mood elevation and overall well-being are intriguing, but stresses the importance of controlled clinical trials to establish the efficacy and safety of kratom for this purpose. Dr. Chris McCurdy shares a question from a listener whose brother is struggling to quit kratom, feeling like a slave to the substance. He suggests that opioid use disorder treatments, such as buprenorphine, may be useful, but emphasizes the need for medical professional guidance and supportive treatment. Dr. Chris McCurdy shares a personal anecdote about his own experience with modafinil, a stimulant cognitive enhancer, highlighting the importance of caution when using substances that can interact with other medications or have unpredictable effects. Andrew Huberman recounts a case study of a patient who experienced a seizure after combining kratom with modafinil, underscoring the risks of polypharmacology and the need for careful consideration when using multiple substances. The conversation shifts to the topic of cacao and chocolate, with Dr. Chris McCurdy sharing his enthusiasm for raw cacao beans and 100% chocolate. Andrew Huberman discusses the benefits of cacao, including its high polyphenol content and the presence of theobromine, a xanthine alkaloid that can improve respiration and stimulate the brain. He notes that cacao also contains compounds that mimic the dopaminergic system, producing a subtle sense of pleasure and reward. Dr. Chris McCurdy asks about the myth that Coca-Cola once contained cocaine, and Andrew Huberman explains the history of the beverage, including its origins as a tonic containing coca leaf extract and cola nut extract. He notes that Coca-Cola did indeed contain cocaine in its original formula, but that the company removed it due to concerns about its addictive properties. Today, Coca-Cola still uses a dealkylinated coca leaf extract as a flavoring agent, which is recognized as safe for consumption. Andrew Huberman asks Dr. Chris McCurdy if there's any evidence that what's still retained from the coca plant in Coca-Cola is psychoactive and not just there for flavor. Dr. Chris McCurdy responds that it's been debated quite a bit, but it's probably not having any psychoactivity. This is evident in the fact that Coca-Cola syrup, which contains the coca extract, was once sold as a remedy for nausea and vomiting, particularly in pregnant women. Dr. Chris McCurdy inquires about Andrew Huberman's background, wondering if he was always interested in chemistry. Andrew Huberman shares that his father was a pharmacist and he grew up watching him work. He became fascinated with the chemistry behind it and went on to study pharmacy in college. It wasn't until he worked in a lab during his graduate program that he discovered his true passion for research and education. Andrew Huberman's journey into natural products research followed with his work on Salvia divinorum, a plant that contains a potent hallucinogen called salvinorin A. He was funded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse to study the plant, which led him to discover mitragynine, a compound found in the Mitragynina speciosa plant. Mitragynine has been shown to have analgesic properties, but its development was shelved in the 1970s due to the emergence of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Andrew Huberman's curiosity and willingness to explore new areas of research have driven his career, and he credits his practical grounding and passion for public education to his upbringing and experiences. Dr. Chris McCurdy reflects on Andrew Huberman's story, noting his intense curiosity, practical grounding, and commitment to public education. He praises Andrew Huberman's ability to see opportunities and pursue them, which has led to his success in the field of natural products research. Andrew Huberman's conversation with Dr. Chris McCurdy has been a treasure trove of insights into the world of kratom, opioids, and natural occurring medicine. As they wrap up their discussion, Andrew expresses his gratitude to Dr. McCurdy for sharing his vast knowledge and nuanced perspective on kratom. Dr. McCurdy's work has been instrumental in shedding light on the complexities of kratom, and Andrew acknowledges the importance of his research in helping people make informed decisions about its use. Dr. McCurdy's response is a testament to his dedication to education and public health. He emphasizes the need for people to understand the potential benefits and risks of kratom, as well as the importance of figuring out where each of those lie. This sentiment is echoed by Andrew, who thanks Dr. McCurdy for his time and expertise. As the conversation comes to a close, Andrew invites Dr. McCurdy to return and share his future discoveries with the audience. Dr. McCurdy's work is a reminder that the natural world is full of incredible compounds that can interact with the human body in complex ways, and his research is helping to unravel the mysteries of these interactions. By sharing his knowledge, Dr. McCurdy is empowering people to make informed decisions about their health and well-being. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, check out YouTube channel, and just remember, subscription is only £1 or $1 per month. Leave a comment or review. Until next time, happy listening.